Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is the worst of the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz podcast.
We will get to Stugatz's thoughts on Nick Saban in a second because he is a rodeo bull right now. He has not been let out of the pen, but he is fired up. He's been spewing takes in every direction, waiting for these microphones to go hot so he can let Nick Saban have it. But before we go any further, they got Rich Rodriguez. And I say it that way because some of you have not liked the language or where I've been flippant on some of these things when it comes to sexual harassment. You think I've been flippant and had blind spots, which I get because I'm looking to find some of the funny in all of these things. So the angry mob spooks me. And so I'm like, they got Rich Rodriguez. Now, we don't know what's true there. He is vehemently denying the charges. But what I thought was interesting is I saw Dave Chappelle on Netflix. And weirdly, he might be doing the best work of his career because what he is doing is so hard navigating some of these topics in real time with humor.
Right.
These topics are hard. Hell, man, these topics swallowed Louis C.K.'s career. These, like, the behavior in these topics is
right.
What ended him. And so these are dangerous. There are all sorts of dangerous things about making fun or having fun around the topic of the day. And he's doing it with both right now. Chappelle on Netflix is just sitting around with an audience and he's just giving you his thoughts, his perspective. Some of it's funny. Some of it's deep. Much of it's deep, actually. But he's not necessarily going for funny. He's just talking to the audience. And one of the things that he did, and tell me this doesn't strike you, and it's one of the reasons that comedians are so important. Man, Jimmy Kimmel has become like a journalist. Jimmy Kimmel's out there like moving mountains on healthcare through comedy. Jon Stewart was the most credible journalist in America for a while. The comedian, Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm. And Colbert doing it. I mean,
and what Chappelle is doing is so hard. And look, he just framed it this way. This is the story he's told, and this is how he told it. And tell me if this doesn't reach you as men in a way that you would understand what it is that women deal with all the time as they become victims all over workplaces and elsewhere because of how poorly men can behave, especially when given power. Chappelle was saying that the most scared he's ever been in his life is that some drug dealers thought he was really funny and he made them laugh and they gave him just $25,000 cash because he was funny. And he was very young in his career. He was like 17 or 18. And he's going home on the subway, and he's thinking to himself, man, if anyone knows what I have in my backpack here, they will kill me for it. If anyone on this ride tries to take this backpack, I will die. I will die. And he said, it's the most scared I've ever been over a short period of my life. And then what he said, which is funny and amazing and an amazing perspective, is that he says, now imagine if I was carrying a vagina all the time. That's not how he said it. Something men wanted all the time. You'd start to feel like prey. And what you're seeing happening in this country now, and now it's come to sports and it'll continue to wander throughout sports, is that women are tired of that fear and now they've finally been given permission to scream. And think about what we're talking about here. We've talked before about the idea of, Stugatz, you're not a large man. You never walk to your car afraid.
Never.
That someone behind you is going to do something bad to you?
No.
That someone is going to want something off you physically and might take it whether you want it or not?
Never. I mean, with the exception of the one time where I walked out of the Miami arena and there were two crackheads smoking crack in my car. Other than that, never.
Well, that probably is a story that is worth revisiting. The old Miami Arena is in, it is now and was then a crack palace. It's just hard to explain to you the neighborhood that was in, although Stugatz, I think, just gave you some pretty colorful ways to understand it.
Yeah. Now, my car was like the last one in the parking lot because I had stayed after.
I'm surprised it wasn't on fire.
I think that was probably the next step.
I mean, that area, and there have been 2 areas in Miami at a time. That area and, during the Colombian drug wars. Like, there are areas in Miami that you simply do not go to, and so they put a basketball team there.
And I walked out last.
And you walked out last, and what happened?
I walked out last, so I'm the only car there, so I could see. Now, there was good lighting, incidentally,
yes.
in this parking lot. And so I could see, and I was probably like 50, 60 yards out, and I could see that my car doors were open and there were people in my car.
A car you had locked.
It was, yes, a car I had locked. The old Acura Integra that I had back in, I think, 97.
And so what did you do? What
did I do?
Well, I don't know what you do in those situations. What did you do? Did you call the police? Did you try and be like somebody would be around a bear, which is the wrong thing, are you supposed to make yourself big around a bear, or are you supposed to play dead? Which one are you supposed to do?
You got to play dead. No,
I think you're supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to show that you're not intimidated. Right?
No, if you get attacked, you're supposed to play dead.
Hold on a second, Guillermo. Put on the poll. If confronted with a bear, are you supposed to make yourself big, or are you supposed to play dead? But what did you do? So you're scared. Are you doing anything? Like, are you?
I'm with a friend. No, I just realized that my car, that someone had broken into my car. I saw someone in my car. I saw a light, which turned out to be a flickering lighter in my car, and so I just called the cops. Like, I called the cops, and then the cops came out, and it wasn't until the cops came out that I felt comfortable going close to my car. And what was in my car were 2 crackheads smoking crack, and some crack pipes, and some rocks.
Yeah, pre-attack, you get big. And if you get attacked, then you play dead.
That's right, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
so
where I was
pre-attack. Whoa. Okay, so you immediately die. You
have to, no matter how much it hurts.
Okay, that would be hard. That would be hard.
Yeah, I know.
That was DiCaprio's mistake in Revenant.
Yeah, he fought back.
Yeah, you can't fight back. Like, what are you doing? That movie would have been much shorter if he had just done what he was supposed to. Just get big and then play dead. Boom. But no Oscar, understandably.
Right.
But you save yourself all that damage from that bear.
Pretty boring movie, no?
Did you think Revenant was boring?
It dragged on.
Really?
I could see where that's not a Sugat's movie.
Wait a minute.
I was all excited for it.
Wait a minute.
It could have been just the bear scene.
Okay, I am questioning the entire movie judgment of this entire show when we are segment removed from Mike Ryan saying Al Pacino was fantastic in Any Given Sunday. And now we're talking about Revenant, and you guys are saying it's boring. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. This is offensive to me. You guys don't like art. Revenant was not boring.
Is that what it was? Art?
Yeah, it was art. Revenant was not boring.
Oh, the scenery was very nice. The vistas, beautifully shot, but it dragged. It could have just been the bear movie. You just remember the bear scene, right? It's a bear movie.
I love that, though. I do love the symbolism of DiCaprio's worked his whole career to get that Oscar. And yeah, you get it here. Congratulations. We're all very happy for you, Leo. It's the bear movie. Like, all that work that you poured into your life and your craft, like, congratulations. You can have the Oscar, but it's not your movie. It's the bear movie. And it dragged, furthermore. But it didn't drag when the bear was in it.
Not once.
But the bear wasn't in it enough.
I know. The
bear should have won the Oscar.
He is so right about this. And that leads to the question, perhaps obvious, perhaps not, what animal should have won an Oscar? What animal in the history of film it is the most Oscar-worthy non-human? Wait a minute. I'm not even making animals. I make it non-human, and now you can act with superheroes, and you act with all sorts of things.
Well, Wilson could have won an Oscar.
Wilson drew more out of people than most actors can do in a lifetime.
Wow, the volleyball and Wilson.
Christopher Plummer's jealous of the volleyball.
Guillermo, put that on the poll. Should Wilson the volleyball have won an Oscar?
Dan Le Batard.
What is the most pathetic you've felt, moved to tears by something inanimate in the movies, like a robot or E.T.?
Wilson.
Really, a volleyball?
Wilson.
That's
when
a pretty
he
good
loses
nomination.
Wilson.
I mean, but gosh, I didn't feel anything. I felt the whole time that's just a volleyball.
Stugats.
It was his best friend.
I know, but I didn't feel that one. They didn't create the character of the volleyball well enough for me in Castaway for me to buy. Like, it was just a volleyball floating away with a bloody handprint on it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Our hero and gasbag lord, Stephen A. Smith, now is right after us on ESPN Radio. 1, 2, 3. I want to talk a little bit about sports, but the days after that, like 2 days after a championship has been won, is a very slow time in sports. And so Central Florida won the championship a couple of days ago.
Right. And
now there's nothing to talk about. Like the whole news stream is filled with Isaiah Thomas comes back. Isaiah Thomas comes back. Like, so this is a slow time, which allows us to have the discussions we were having during the break, which were shocking. Did you know, put this on the poll, Guillermo, did you know that the snakes in Indiana Jones were not fake, but were legless lizards that looked like snakes? So now we've got an Oscar-worthy animal, the legless lizard, that has convinced us for these 30-plus years that it was a snake.
Shocking.
A great job of acting by those legless lizards. So Ron McGill joins us now, Zoo Miami. Real quick, we got a couple of questions. What are we supposed to do if I walk outside and I'm confronted by a giant bear?
Well, definitely in the state of Florida, the thing you do is, first of all, you just put your arms up, stand as tall as you are, make yourself as big as you can be, and go, hey, bear, hey, bear, and that bear is going to go away. It's happened to me several times, especially up in the Ocala National Forest. Black bears are not the types of animals that are going to come after a human being unless it's a mother with cubs. The best advice I can give you is when you're walking through a forest that's bear country anywhere in Florida, just make a lot of noise. Bears are going to avoid you. You don't want to surprise a mother with cubs. That's when it becomes bad. Generally speaking, hands up, make yourself big. Hey, bear, that bear's going to run away. If the bear comes at you, if it's a mother with cubs, then once that happens, then you got to try to play dead. You put your hands behind your neck, try to cover your neck, any, real vulnerable part of your neck there, your carotid artery, and just stay as still as you can. Remove the threat.
Ron, you said Florida. What if I'm not in Florida?
Well, grizzly bears, big brown bears present a bigger threat, but it's still the same deal. The same deal. Make yourself big, make yourself tall. It happened to me in Alaska. Came across a big brown bear in Alaska walking across the path, and that's exactly what I did. I just said, hey, bear.
You didn't do hey, bear. You didn't come across a big bear and go, hey, bear. It's easy for you to say now, far removed from Alaska, being on the phone with us in the safety of your own home. You didn't say, hey, bear.
Why are you so
You were scared. Hang up on this kook. Hang up on this kook. I don't want to talk to him anymore.
I'm with you on this, Dad. I mean, usually I get mad at you when you get contentious with Ron McGill, but hey, bear, like that, no. That bear's going to laugh at me and then kill me. Hey, bear. Oh, hey, bear, I'm really big. Hey, bear, yeah, get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Big man with the radio.
He's listening?
You can turn off the phone whenever you want, right? Yeah, you got the controls, buddy. You know what? Happy flipping New Year to you. I hope you run across the
Get out of here.
Hey, bear.
Yeah, hey, bear, you kook, counterfeit. You've never even been out of that zoo. You tell all these pretend stories. You're Brian Williams. These pretend stories. It's always a story. And then I was in Alaska and I ran into a bear. I found myself in that situation. And of course that happened to me. There was a stampede of elephants and I wasn't scared at all. I just said, hey, elephants.
They went away.
Yeah, they went away scared and loving me. And every time I come back, they greet me.
He made it sound like a Ron McGill guarantee. Like every single time you make yourself bigger, hey, bear, they go away.
That's it. That's handbook.
I mean, I wouldn't have the poise to do that.
No, nobody would. We'd all run away urinating ourselves and then, be in the stool of a hungry bear. Well, nobody's patient enough. You made the bear's coming charging at you.
You're walking with your wife. No, honey, listen. Just relax. I got this. We're going to make ourselves bigger and say, hey, bear.
Let's get back to the animals,
Oh, God.
Okay? Animals that deserve Oscars. How about Jaws? There's no greater animal in the movie than Jaws. Come on.
Get rid of this guy, too. I don't want him on the show either.
No, it's a new year, and Burke's on the show.
Get out of here.
New Year's resolution. Burke on the show.
Demand once more money.
He's right about Jaws.
We need to come up with a list.
Goss is right. It's the bear movie.
He's just always lingering in the shadows, man. Mark Teixeira is our movie guy. Adnan Verk is not our movie guy.
And losing between living and dying.
He can't be our movie expert. So if you're just joining us and you don't know what we're doing, Adnan Verk has been trying to get on our show for a long time. He sneaks in sometimes that way when we're having movie discussions, but he's not allowed it.
I've been a middle-aged man. I've made every mistake.
Get out of here. Blink, Stugotz. If you finally installed the electronics you've gotten during the holidays, then you would have gone outside and thrown the boxes that contain these expensive items in the trash. Burglars notice these things. But if you installed Blink, those burglars, they got nothing on you because you're watching them. Tell
Lady
them.
Bird.
Oh, for the love of God.
Lady Bird.
And it's Larry Bird.
Go see Lady Bird. Come on, guys. Support racing.
Dan Lebatard.
I don't know anything.
Stugatz.
I don't remember what I was going to talk about. So in those instances, what I have is a default that just makes fun of Stugatz.
You're welcome.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Lebatard Show. Appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your SportsCenter update. The University of Arizona has fired football coach Rich Rodriguez in the wake of sexual harassment allegations. The Bengals have changed course and have signed and have agreed to a contract extension with Marvin Lewis through 2019, just hours after Dan said he'd never coach again. And finally, thanks to a 1-3-1 final week by Big Boy, our celebrities lost to Colin Cowherd. I know.
Oh, no.
The celebrity prognosticators went 40, 33, and 3 for a 525 winning percentage. Colin went 38, 30, and 2, just edging us out with a 557 winning percentage. It's all right, but we thank all the celebrities that joined us this year, except for Richard Lewis. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
And Lovitz, and Lovitz and Carrot Top. And Lovitz and Carrot Top. The three of them were terrible. I wonder why they were terrible. I usually think of them as the Mount Rushmore of comedy.
Thank you.
I love so many things happening around sports. Can someone explain, Guillermo, put this on the poll, please. Have you ever had a boss as kind as the Bengals are to Marvin Lewis? This is an unusual thing, man. You don't stay 15 years with a football coach that hasn't won a single playoff game. I don't even know. Like, I feel like I'm in the 1940s. That doesn't even make sense. These coaches get fired after 2 or 3 years if you don't win a playoff game. You're sitting here already wondering if Bill O'Brien's in trouble just because his quarterback got hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and the Bengals are really, and I know a lot of people will make fun of them, but man, management has been loyal to Marv Lewis. They must think that he's doing whatever his job is well enough.
You know what he's done, though, Dan? We had this discussion yesterday. The organization, the franchise, was so bad, was a laughingstock for so long, and they haven't won a playoff game, but at least he has brought some credibility and stability.
But we're laughing at the Bengals again. Just by re-signing, I think most people hear that Marvin Lewis has been extended, and they laugh at that.
Right.
They laugh at the Bengals still trying to go after the Patriots with Marv Lewis and Andy Dalton.
Right.
Good luck.
I mean,
seriously. Bill Belichick will be 10 years after his death on the sideline, and Tom Brady will be still playing quarterback for them 3 years after his death because of that doctor who's not a doctor who's going to, he'll throw for 4,000 yards that season. His completion percentage will go down, but long after he's dead, Tom Brady will still be playing, and Belichick and Brady will still be laughing at the idea that Marv Lewis and Andy Dalton are chasing them.
125 and 112. That is the record for Marvin Lewis.
No, Dan,
you're right, because they're being very nice to him, because Ben McAdoo, he took him to the playoffs last year, and he's fired a year later.
I don't think Marvin Lewis is that bad. I don't think Marvin Lewis matters that much. The part of that I find interesting is that nowhere, and where else in sports, someone tell me, that you're getting in big sports where you've got to win playoff games. Is there any coach this year that's in the playoffs how many times was Coughlin on the hot seat while headed to a Super Bowl? Was that
several
twice?
times. Well, no, yeah, it was.
Yeah, he got on the hot seat after he had won one Super Bowl, and they were thinking about firing him again.
I'm saying, think about what I'm saying. Tom Coughlin got run out of New York and actually was the only thing to stand in the way of the Patriots running this sport for 2 decades straight. Tom Coughlin. And he got run out of New York with legitimate accomplishments. And here's Marv Lewis, who started before Tom Coughlin did in New York and Cincinnati and is still there and hasn't won a single playoff game since. That's crazy.
I guess it is kind of crazy.
You just do not see that anymore in modern sports where an owner is so loyal to his coach that he's like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I like 125, 112, and 1 is enough.
There will have to be a coach that won early on, and then the owner just stays with the coach because he won early on. I think that's the only other examples you'll find.
But doesn't the coaching carousel in the NFL such that it is also frustrate you? So what's the answer?
Oh, no, do I sound like I'm complaining about it? I'm making fun of it a little bit, but I think we'd all want a boss like the Bengals.
I mean, I want a boss like Jimmy Haslam. Maybe not on the corporate side, but in the Browns, like Hugh Jackman won one game in 2 seasons.
And he's sticking by him.
Coming back.
But that stuff is so hard. Like, if you realize what has happened with the Patriots is they built around this core with stability. It's why Belichick resigned on that napkin with the Jets, because he didn't trust that organization. All of history could have been different. Belichick went there, had the stability of ownership, and once you start winning with the stability of ownership, all of a sudden everybody can do their job fearlessly. Because, man, oh, man, if Marvin Lewis is going up against Bill Belichick in one of these tight spots in 4th and short, and Marvin Lewis is sitting there thinking to himself, look what's on the other sideline, and is my job in trouble? I've got 15 years of security, but I don't have the security that guy does.
Right.
I'll punt here. I'm going to punt. And the other guy's playing fearlessly. The other guy has job tenure, stability. He's not scared of anybody. He's got the best quarterback. But the worst part about it is I wonder if the Bengals know that they've been saddling Marvin Lewis with a quarterback who simply can't win in this league.
I think they know now. I think there was a time where they thought they could win big with Andy Dalton.
I know, but now do they realize that that they're saying, you know what, our bad. Marv, we put you in this position. You don't have a quarterback good enough to win a playoff game. He's not ever going to win a playoff game. And now but where do you even go with Marvin? Are they going to still go Andy Dalton the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? They're going to still keep doing this with Andy Dalton until he expires. Andy Dalton should not be starting in this league. He starts in this league because A.J. Green is amazing, and they've had an amazing offensive line for a long time. And Andy Dalton, the Bengals were good enough to win the Super Bowl except for their quarterback position a couple of years ago. And now the window's closed.
I can't imagine they'll go forward with Andy Dalton. I just can't. I can't imagine they do that.
But what is the plan? Like, what do? You just signed your coach and said, we're loyal to you.
Do they still have A.J. McCarron? Is he still there? I mean,
they have McCarron, who's upset by the whole failed trade to Cleveland deal. I think he's trying to become a free agent this offseason because of the Bucs trade.
To me, the Browns are one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in sports. With the stuff like that you have where they tried to trade for a quarterback but didn't get the paperwork in on time, to specifically the way they went 0-16, where at the end they're driving and they dropped the ball that any one of us would have caught. A professional wide receiver on 4th and short to make them not losers for eternity dropped a pass that was right in his hands that is the easiest catch he will ever make, and he dropped it. It went through his hand.
And to make it extra Browns, he was a first-round draft pick, and he's played 2 seasons, and each season he's broken a hand as a receiver. Not great.
A lot of people are saying Mark Richt got the Marvin Lewis treatment at Georgia. Didn't win anything big, but Georgia kept bringing him back.
Well, because it was a similar situation, because Georgia also hadn't reached the heights that Rick brought them to, much like the Bengals, who were,
but I would say though that 10 wins in that sport will get you a job at most major programs for a long time. Like, if you're doing 10 wins a year.
He did that like 9 times.
And you're not winning the big game in college, you can do that. Basically, the Bengals had this very small window, but the Bengals are 7-9, 8-8, no better than that. Like, that's just what they are. We all know it. And now they're tying themselves to a coach. And you're like, how? I can't remember something quite like this. Somebody help me. Somebody give me a comparable to Marvin Lewis. Spending 15 years in a place without ever winning a playoff game and major sports being okay with that.
I mean, 15 years alone is rare.
It's just crazy.
Jason Garrett, maybe?
But he hasn't. Jason Garrett's been there a long time, but what's that?
Not 15
that's
years,
not even 10 years. And we've heard about Jason Garrett being in trouble. And we also know when it comes to Jason Garrett that he has that job, at least in part, because you have to just simply get along with Jerry Jones.
Correct. He's been there 8 years. Hasn't won a playoff game. Been there 8 years.
But you understand what the relationship in Dallas. You just have to be a guy who's willing to take whatever pinata beating Jerry gives. That's not what's happening with the Bengals.
No, I think they're pleased with Marvin Lewis. It's not about, hey, be our pinata. It's, hey, no, look where we were before he got here and look where we are now. At least no one's laughing at us, but now we're starting to laugh again. So
you're saying just pros because Kirk Ferentz has kind of got the Rick deal right now.
Enough of that guy.
Well, we've got to get to what Nick Saban thoughts Stugat says. You want to give those now? I know that you've got Kirk Ferentz thoughts as well, but I just feel like Kirk Ferentz is allowed to be the guy at Iowa that doesn't win anything because it's Iowa. Come on. It's Iowa. It's not Alabama. It's Iowa.
Well, that's like Cincinnati, right? We'll take the 9-7.
No, but we don't normally see that in the pros, though. The Bengals are the Iowa of the NFL. We don't see that in the pros. Pro teams are expected to win at all costs. It's not okay that Kirk Ferentz, we're like Iowa, whatever. Which is it? Is it Iowa, Iowa State? Which one's better? They're all the same.
How about Fisher? Jeff Fisher.
What about him?
He stuck around for a while without doing anything.
Well, he got to a Super Bowl.
He didn't win it, though.
Win it.
I know, but wait a minute.
He win it.
Okay, fair enough. What is Jeff Fisher's playoff record? And again, I will remind you.
Hold on.
That Marvin Lewis started in Cincinnati 15 years ago, and they had 5 playoff wins. And 15 years later, as a franchise, they still have 5 playoff wins.
But they've had 7 more cracks at it.
There's not a yes, they've had 7 playoff appearances where what do? They lose to T.J. Yates or Houston in the first round.
All right, so with Houston, who then turned into Tennessee, Jeff Fisher was 142 and 120.
How about playoff record?
They lost to the Rams in that Super Bowl. Okay, so he was 5-6 in the playoffs with that team.
Okay, now 5 playoff wins.
5
Jeff
wins.
Fisher's
and a Super Bowl appearance.
Okay, but Jeff Fisher is
and an AFC Championship game appearance.
Enduring laughingstock, and he had 5 playoff victories. Marvin Lewis just got extended for 0. He's won as many the last 15 years for the Bengals as I have. As many for the Bengals as let me see some of these characters we have for great performance from animals in movies.
We're done with the coaching discussion.
Well, no, I was just thinking. Free Willy has won as many playoff games. Willie from Free Willy has won as many playoff games as Marvin Lewis the last 15 years.
I believe his name is actually Keiko. He portrayed Willie.
Lassie, Flipper, Keanu, the cat from the Keanu movie. Man, this is a bad list.
How about the gopher from Caddyshack?
Best acting performance. We were asking, in case you're wondering, what animal is the best actor ever in the history of the movies. What animal should be up for the Oscar if we gave the Oscars to animals? And our list stinks because this is a list. Our producers, they're mailing it in today.
Did you see the gopher, though?
Hold on. Yes, I saw the dancing gopher.
Dancing alone, right?
Okay, but on this list is...
and Hugh Jackman of Animal.
Look, man, the youth of this... Mr. Ed is on this list, which is very old. But Mr. Ed is a famous horse. It says Indiana Jones monkey. Like, this list stinks. You can't have, there was a monkey in the Indiana. What did the monkey do in the Indiana Jones movie? Why would the monkey win an Oscar? For what? Nobody remembers the monkey from the Indiana Jones movie. We remember the snakes that were actual legless lizards.
Didn't the monkey play dead? Yeah. Talent.
There you go.
You put it up on the poll. Is the monkey in Indiana Jones up for our animal Oscar?
Dan Le Batard.
So he was on Wingo and Golic, and I'm told this is Golic and Wingo. Excuse me. Whoa,
that's a fine.
Wow.
No, that's not a fine.
Wow. What do you mean?
No, what? That's not.
Wow. That's not the name of the show.
That's not the name of the show.
A fine.
They only had 8 million ads.
$2, 2 names wrong, right? And be careful on tone. That's all I'm saying. $2, fork it up.
Stugats.
You want me to front you?
No, thank you.
Good, because I don't have any money on me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We were talking yesterday on the show. I was agitated because Dabo Swinney got dragged by Nick Saban in a way that usually doesn't happen quite that obviously, where one team clearly has the better players and knows everything that's coming. And you're just sitting there watching it, and you're like, oh, Clemson has just been totally neutered. It does not matter what they do. They might as well just run right out of the stadium because none of their plays are going to go forward. And he got dragged, and he yells at his player, just lights up his quarterback who has carried him because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because he can feel and see nothing I have for Nick Saban after a month of preparation is going to work tonight.
Right.
And so what does he do? He doesn't fix it. He doesn't run reverses and try to do creative things.
Yells at his quarterback.
He just eats it all night and then yells at his quarterback when his quarterback can't get away from the 11 savages on the defensive side of the ball for Alabama because all of them are in the backfield because your game planning stunk.
Coach, you try to do something
you do
against
this.
those guys.
I would love one time. You know what? That should be the penalty in college sports sometimes. If a coach goes over some sort of red meter line, he has to go out there for a play. And do what he's asking these people to do.
And the quarterback that he's replacing gets the call to play.
Oh, yes. The person he yelled at gets to call whatever the play is.
Yes.
But I saw Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is a first-time coach and first-time head coach. He's at Georgetown. And I just loved the way he coached his kid which wasn't gentle at all, but also wasn't what Dabo Swinney was doing, which is just screaming in frustration, not leading, just screaming. He was frustrated, so he lit up the eyebrows of his quarterback. What Patrick Ewing did, his center, I think it was his center, took a one-legged sort of fadeaway jumper that was only the entirety of the career that got Patrick Ewing in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly that was not a play that's in his game, but it was Ewing's shot. And Ewing came over to him and wasn't gentle about it and just lit him up with, hell was that? Like, what, have you ever shot that before anywhere? Have you ever shot that before?
Little hint of a smile on his face.
No, I mean, not really. No, Patrick Ewing, I put it on the poll, Guillermo. Does Patrick Ewing smile? I think the answer to that is no.
So do you work on that shot? When?
Yes.
When do you work on that shot?
It was so funny,
doing, man.
Yeah, it's like, what was that? That one-footed thing that got me into the Hall of Fame because, I'm a Hall of Famer. That thing. When have you ever done that? Because I was kind of the best at doing it. Don't do that anymore. As opposed to Dabo Swinney, who's just like got his whole lifestyle based on being in the right place at the right time as the interim coach and just ends up there and hasn't ever done it.
Right.
Not at that level. He played.
So you want Dabo to walk up in that spot to his quarterback, Bryant, and just say, hey, I know these guys are good.
Oh, that's right.
These guys are good.
How great would
they're better than us.
How great would that be at the height
his
of
arm around him.
How great would that be at the height of competition? To just put your arm around one of the players like, oh, they're big? How big are those dudes? Alabama's got like 7 of them that don't even play that are better than anyone we have.
Doesn't matter what my game plan was.
How is their corner bigger than our offensive lineman?
That'd be so refreshing. It never happened.
Right. No, but how great would that be if a coach was like, oh, man, Alabama, dear God, how does Saban get all those players?
Did you see what bad for you? I got to put you back out there.
Have you ever seen that scene in Billy Madison where they're doing the academic decathlon and Eric plays a flute beautifully and it's amazing, and then Billy just goes, he just folds his arm and goes, he's good.
Yeah.
That's sort of
That's exactly
what I'm
it is.
hoping a coach does.
Do you think Saban, Stugotz is mad at Saban, and we'll get to that in a second. Saban seems pretty joyless, right?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as a joyful coach? Like, I think there's certain parts of the job that are just such a misery, and you're a control freak, but you have control. You have actually how frustrating a dilemma is this, that you're a control freak who actually, once the ball is snapped or thrown up, has very little actual control.
Right.
And
especially, of
anything. Like, you can design the plays, but it's up to everybody else to go and do their jobs. And so you're kind of powerless with the most power on the field.
Trying to think of happy coaches.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Is there such a thing? Like, if a coach should be happy, it's Nick Saban. He's got always the better players. Like,
always has the better players. Anytime anyone else gets a raise, he gets a raise. I mean,
what I'm saying, if you can't be happy as him, who the hell?
Mortgage paid for.
Does Belichick seem happy to you?
No, miserable actually.
But who's happy? Who the hell's a happy coach? Someone? Anyone? Is there such a thing? Go ahead and put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Is there such a thing as a happy coach? Because all of them just ooze misery. And Pat Riley has said there's winning and there's misery. There's not happiness. There's winning and there's misery.
Does Pete Carroll come off as happy?
It depends on if they're winning or not.
Mostly. How about Frank Layden?
Frank Layden was great. He's also dead. And has been for many years.
But he was happy.
He was happy.
He was happy. He was a jolly fat man, Frank Layden. I think you just took a Utah Jazz coach from the 1980s.
You did.
Because Jerry Sloan, this is pre-Jerry Sloan. You just made a reference that much of the audience has no idea what you're talking
Frank
about.
Layden's still with us.
Yeah. What?
Wow. That's a fine.
Wait a minute. What?
An egregious one.
Wait a minute. What?
$10, man. I mean, you just killed a man who's alive.
Wait a minute.
There's no death date on his Wikipedia.
That can't be right. Wait a minute.
So he's alive. If Wikipedia, there's no death.
Wait a minute.
Why can't it be?
Did I just confuse him with Rick Majerus?
Because of Utah?
That is what just happened.
And
I'm so sorry, Frank Layden.
Another fine.
It is a fine.
Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugatz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
I had a dream last night about the show that Stugatz was filling in for Joe Buck on his podcast, and Allison called me to tell me what a great job Stugatz did. And I realized this is a dream because Allison would never praise Stugatz. Stugatz would never fill in for Joe Buck's podcast that may or may not even exist.
And if I did, it wouldn't be good.
Factually, a lot of factual errors in your dream.
What a weird dream.
Yeah.
Stugatz.
So that's the height of your fantasies, Guillermo?
Well, maybe it was a nightmare. I don't know. It happened when I was asleep.
Thank you, Guillermo.
That's how dreams work.
Yep.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Stugatz is just muttering before the mics come on. Did you guys get the 50 from Dan for killing Layden? Frank, can you call the show so I can apologize to you publicly for thinking you were dead?
Put the 50 down.
I do owe money for that.
Oh, there he is.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you think Frank Layden was dead? Look, it was an innocent mistake. It was an innocent. I didn't mean to kill Frank Layden. This is going to be a whole scandal. Le Batard, the Le Batard Show kills Frank Layden on ESPN. That's not going to be good for Disney.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Lane Kiffin going to be there in a half hour, 11:30 Eastern. Check out the Cavaliers and the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Carson Palmer has decided to retire after 14 seasons. Greg Popovich now has the 5th most coaching wins in NBA history as the Spurs beat the Knicks 100-91. And finally, last week, parts of Canada were colder than it was on Mars. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you know that Canada could get colder than Mars? Mike, why did I see fear sweeping across your face last segment when you were looking at Stugatz and you were worried about things? Like, I could tell that you were worried. I could read Mike sometimes. I don't know, but I could read Mike sometimes when there was fear on his face. He was looking at you. What was happening there?
Well, you started talking about how Nick Saban should be happier. And I could see Stugatz's gears start turning. He was about to drop a bomb on Nick Saban, and he was about to rip him.
Oh, you saw it?
I saw it happening. And as I saw that happening, I got a text from our friend Marty Smith saying, "What's up, boys? I'm watching you in the Bamers Player Lounge with the players."
Of course.
So I was like, oh, no.
Oh,
Stugatz is about to destroy Nick Saban.
Well, go ahead. I think we should do it all the more now, not less.
But I texted him. I thought I saved it with Frank Layden.
We had to, in order to protect Stugatz, we had to kill Frank Layden. Can someone get Frank on the phone so I could talk to him and publicly apologize?
I think he's still working with the Jazz.
I'm
serious.
I'm not still totally sure I'm wrong about this. I think somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I still have Frank Layden being dead. You're
going to kill him again?
The internet being wrong. I'm just convinced
$100.
I deserve whatever fine it is you're giving today. Go ahead and rip Nick Saban so that they can hear it in the Players Lounge with Marty Smith. Like, just because I know it's a defense of the players, because I had the same reaction when Nick Saban, when I saw on television Nick Saban talking about
right.
We need more rest for the kids between these games. I found myself getting mad.
I can almost hear Marty saying right now, I'm actually not their friend.
Oh, he's embarrassed? He's ashamed of us?
Yeah,
no, I think the kids are going to agree. In fact, I'd like...
the kids will agree. It depends if Nick is lording over there, so like sniffing around. His miserable self is sniffing around, making sure that he doesn't allow any joy.
I'd like to have maybe Marty on to get live reaction to the rant right now because, kids, how about this? This is just for the kids in the lounge with Marty Smith, okay? Nick Saban doesn't care about you, okay? Nick Saban cares about himself. That's who he cares about. Nick Saban, the audacity for this guy to say there isn't enough time in between games. I've never heard Nick Saban talk about it before, and I'm guessing I'll never hear him talk about it again unless his entire team is hurt like it is right now. Here's the thing with Nick Saban, and that's why he needs more time. He needs more time because his entire defense is hurt.
Nick Saban, it's for the kids, though. He said it's for the kids. They need more time to prepare before games.
And kids, what I'm telling you, it's not for the kids. It's for Nick. Because you kids winning and not getting paid, that benefits Nick Saban and does not benefit you.
Hold on.
But it benefits him in a big way.
If I may, just to allow you to...
done.
No, please. And I forgive the interruption.
That's okay.
No, I want you to...
I'm tired of Saban.
I gathered. I just want, Mike, I want you to text Marty Smith right now, if you would, name one of the players in the room with you so that Stugotz can directly address that player when saying, player X, Nick Saban doesn't care about you. And maybe Nick Saban is somewhere around there, maybe he's not, but I want you to address the players in the room individually. And the reason I'm asking Mike for help on this is because I know you can't name a single one of them.
Minkah Fitzpatrick, listen to me, and listen to me loud and clear. Nick Saban doesn't care about you. Nick Saban cares about the business of Nick Saban. He doesn't even care about the University of Alabama. What Nick Saban cares about is the business of Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a year removed from saying only conference champions should be playing in the Final Four. Nick Saban, you got a gift. You were gifted into the Final Four because you're Nick Saban, because you've done so much winning. But here's the deal. Now that you're here, shut up.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear from you. You have no business. According to you and your rules that you laid down last year, your team has no business being here because not only did you not win the conference, you didn't make the conference championship game, but you got in. And now you get a chance at winning another title. And you're going to sit here and complain? You're going to complain about the length of time in between games? Nick, here's what I want you to do, because you have a powerful voice. If you truly care about the kids, be one of the guys. You have the most powerful voice in all of sports, certainly in college football. Be one of the guys at the forefront for trying to get these kids who you care about, or at least who you claim you care about, try to get them paid. Because we all know the education that the University of Alabama has given them isn't enough.
What?
And they don't care about it.
All right, hold on.
All right, Nick, you care about the kids, get them paid.
Hold on.
That was for you, Jalen Hurts.
Hold on.
And you too, Scarborough. I mean, both Scarborough.
That guy doesn't need your help. That guy can handle matters on his own.
Well, then take care of business already, Bo, because I'm telling you, Nick Saban don't care about you.
Wait a minute. What do you mean take care of business? You want him to harm Nick Saban? Hold on a second. Let's slow this down because we got to rein in the untethered Stugotz.
I want them to
hold on.
Okay.
Just please hold on a second.
I don't like the Saban guy.
Do you realize that Saban might be staring at a television right now?
I don't care.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to set the picture for the listener who might just be joining us.
All right. Come on the show, Nick. I dare you.
Oh. Who's going to have to handle that interview? You're going to. I would.
You will. It's not my strength. This is my strength, though.
All right, I know. All right, now let me slow everything down.
I met the Alabama SID a couple weeks ago in Charlotte saying, please give us another chance.
Well, he has a chance right now. Come on.
I don't want to slow your roll in any way. I simply want to tell the audience, and I will get out of the way again, if you're just joining us, we have access to a player lounge in the Alabama facility where they are watching our show. Marty Smith has told us that because he has betrayed his good, great friend, Nick Saban. And
great friend.
So, former friend. We are ruining this relationship as we speak. Marty didn't give us permission to do any of this. And now, Mike, you've got Stugotz speaking directly, I don't know, to the lounge, the weight room. For all I know, all of Alabama's football team is now gathering. And Nick Saban is behind them. So, again, the floor is yours, Stugotz. You talk to the good kids of Alabama who are suffering this injustice so that Nick Saban could be the highest paid person in the history of bouncing balls. Go ahead.
All right, Calvin Ridley. Listen to me and hear me loud and clear. Nick Saban cares about Nick Saban. Nick Saban does not care about Calvin Ridley. All right? I'm sorry. He might give you the appearance that he cares about Calvin Ridley, but Calvin, if he truly cared about you, and if he truly cared about all his players, Nick wouldn't be using the platform to talk about the length of time in between games. If he cared about you, he'd be using the platform to try to get you paid, because Nick Saban has made millions of dollars and has private jets and had his mortgage paid for by the University of Alabama.
That's true, kids.
Because you guys work hard for him.
That's true. That's true. That's true, kids.
Right.
That's
so
true.
Nick Saban,
he's got all that money, and they built him a house.
So, Bo Scarborough, this is the job for you. You walk into Nick Saban's office and say, Coach, you care about us? You're making $8 million a year.
That's right.
Peel $2 million back
That's right.
and give it to us.
Break all the rules.
Give it to the kids.
End your career.
Coach, you got a powerful voice.
That's right.
Get up on that championship game platform and talk about how we should be paid.
That's right.
Because we're working our asses off for you.
Whoa.
And for the state of Alabama. And for the University of Alabama.
Yes, glory be to God. Glory be to God.
War Eagle.
What?
No!
Oh.
Dan Lebatard.
Stugatz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugatz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen, I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
Stugatz.
You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Whenever you hear that song, that means Lane Kiffin is going to join us in just a minute.
Hold on, turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn it up. Foul out on the prowl.
He'll join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Check out the Cavs versus the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Carson Palmer has decided to retire after 14 seasons. Greg Popovich now has the 5th most coaching wins in NBA history as the Spurs beat the Knicks 100-91. And finally, an Ohio man named Bruce Wayne has eaten Chipotle for 428 consecutive days. Chipotle.
That's all right.
It's a tough one for me.
Shake it off.
Chipotle. The 4-for-4 deal at Wendy's gives you a sandwich plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and drink for just $4. And now the 4-for-4 has more variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices. So try them all and pick your favorite at participating locations for a limited time. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Lane Kiffin has been our college football correspondent. We like him. He tells the truth even when he's lying. Lane Kiffin with us now on
Is that possible?
ESPN Radio. He tells the truth, man, and I like him.
Like Tony Montana?
Yeah, yes. And so I want to ask him first question. Thank you for joining us, Lane. But how soon in that game, Clemson, Alabama, did you realize, oh, wait, Dabo's got nothing. He's got nothing in this game for what Nick Saban's bringing. They've got no chance moving the ball offensively. How soon did you realize that?
Well, actually, in warm-ups, I thought you could tell. You know, I talked about yesterday, being down there with the players and coaches. You know, Coach Saban has never, talking to coaches for years and years and being there, he uses the same schedule no matter what, no matter what's happening for, so he'll tell you, 30 years or whatever it's been. And, he had thought about it this offseason because people had kept bringing it up, that at the end of the season, the players just don't have any legs left, especially on defense. And if you look at the last 4 seasons before this, the 2 Clemson games, the Ohio State game, and the Oklahoma game, the last 4 games in a row, over 35 points in every single game given up and almost 600 yards. And that's with the best defensive players in the world. So you got to give him credit that he finally said, okay, I'm changing it. And they took out a bunch of the one-on-ones versus in practice and limited the reps, throughout the week, late in the week, and you could see it. It was a completely different team than you usually see.
At what point did you start feeling? At what point did you start feeling badly for Dabo because he had nothing? There was nothing that he was going to be able to do. There was no coaching gimmick that was going to get him anything.
I didn't feel bad for him at all. After they won it the year before, and then the year before we beat them. I didn't feel bad for him. I was happy for those Alabama players because really, they finally got to play with some legs. And so, Alabama has the best players every single week. It's not even close. And that's a credit to Coach Saban's recruiting. He out-recruits everybody. They got more NFL picks and a better roster than everybody. So it was good to see those players play like that.
I'm curious, though, when you're watching all of the things that are happening there, is Lane Kiffin, and this is a difficult question to ask because I know you have a great deal of confidence. I know Nick Saban is more accomplished than you are. Is Nick Saban a better coach than you? Yes or no?
Definitely. He's definitely a better coach. I mean, the record and the championships, all that. Spending 3 years with him, has that got me to catch up? Is that how we were, able to go from, 3 wins in 3 years to 11 wins? Sure. But, no, I got a long ways to go to catch him.
Is Dabo?
Yeah, won national championship.
No, not accomplished. Not accomplishment. Lane, hold on a second, Lane. Don't do that. If you had Alabama or if you had the Clemson players, I know they're more accomplished than you are because they've won college championships. That's not what we're asking you. I'm asking you if you look at anybody and say that dude is just better at this than I am.
Yeah, I would say when you put it that way, I mean, I think you guys know my confidence. I would feel like if we had the exact same team, I would feel like I would beat them. But that's, that's how I think. So I'm sure.
Lane, that's you thinking you are better. That's you,
and that's okay, by the way.
That is okay, but that is you thinking that if I had their players, I would beat them. I can do that. But I can do it just as well as.
But
they
I think
can.
what Lane is saying is getting the players is part of the job.
It is part of the job, but I mean, it's harder to get them at FAU than it is at Alabama at this point. Anyway, we were talking before you came on here about whether coaching can be happy because Nick seems really joyless. Belichick seems joyless. What is it about the job that makes you guys often so miserable?
Well, I think it's how you approach it. It doesn't have to be miserable. I learned first, from Pete Carroll, spent 6 years with him, and he created an atmosphere, of want to versus have to, where the players and coaches want to come to work. They want to come to the weight room because, people are excited, people have energy, you got music playing, people are happy to be there. You're not just coming in and get your ass ripped every day. And then other people go the other way. They create the atmosphere where everybody's miserable coming into work. I used to laugh. You walk down the Alabama hallway, and the national championship pictures are there. Where it shows a team picture and the coaches. And you're in the stadium. All lined up. And you're in their jerseys and in your coaching gear. Look at the faces on the coaches. It looks like they're at a funeral. They look miserable.
How long were you miserable there? Like how many days of all the time you were in Alabama, how many days did you go to work miserable because that's the environment that you were working in? I'm not talking about Alabama, the environment that Saban created. What percentage of the days did you go in miserable?
Well, if there's 365 and you play, 14, so whatever, that's 351 days. Yeah, I like game day. That's fun. Because
so that was it. So about 12 days a year, you were happy driving into work.
So basically, it's not even all of game day. It's just the 3 hours, maybe, as long as Saban's not yelling at you during those two, because you're putting up 50 instead of 60.
Yeah, it's about, that's not 3.5 hours. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes. You're happy, which is because you have the best players, so you're going to win, and you're out there and you're scoring 1 million points and 1 million yards. And it's the last 15 minutes of the game when you're up by 30, but, you hand the ball off left instead of right, and so you get your ass ripped.
Wait a second. So, Lane, put me in your head that you saw Nick rip Brian Dable, right? Like, you saw him rip him on the sidelines in the semifinal game?
Dabo. No? Or
Right, the offensive coordinator.
I retweeted that, yes.
Yeah, you did. Like, put us there. Like, what what is Brian thinking? What is Nick saying? Like, can you put us in that moment?
He's just mad just to get mad because, he's feeling like, okay, people are getting comfortable. We're ahead, so it's just that I don't know where he gets it from. It's that, I need to rip somebody. I never understood it. I don't do that. Somebody used to joke. They say that, he'd get a memo, in the fourth quarter that, the TV cameras showed me more than him. So he's going to make sure that he ripped me to, humble me. So I don't really know why he does it.
Wait a minute. What? What? No, that's not true. What? Say that again. He's giggling. Yes.
Laugh.
No, yeah, but explain that again. What happened?
They used to joke and say, what was the point of him ripping? I don't know. And they'd say, oh, well, he must have got a memo, from the sides that they showed you more than him, or something like that, or they showed you guys. They showed you guys together. They showed you guys together, and it made him look too short.
Lane, all right, hold on a second. A couple of questions before we let you go. One, we're having a party for the bogus national championship that is Monday, and because UCF just won the championship declared by us. But we're having one, and it's going to be a mega cast, and ESPN is going to broadcast it. Do you want to sit here and watch the game with us? What are you doing Monday?
I don't know what I'm doing Monday. I may be in Atlanta. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
All right, we'll check in with you. All right, Monday. We'll check in with you.
Seems like a no there.
Yeah, that seems like a no, a polite no. That does seem like
that. That's the politically correct no.
Okay. So that is no. All right. Thanks, Stugatz, for reading through the lie.
I'm going to spend 4 hours bashing Saban. I mean, if you want to join us, that
it'd be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
We'd love. I mean, is there anything we can do to entice you to come to this? Like, can we give you anything? Like, how about some recruits? How about a quarterback? Can we buy you a South Florida quarterback that would make you sit with us?
That would be a viation. So
we don't have to tell anybody.
We're just on national air. That's all.
What did you make of UCF? I think they're as good as anybody in the country, except maybe Alabama. What did you make of UCF?
I thought they played great, and that was amidst, distractions with, Scott, taking the other job and having to recruit for the other job and still coaching the game. And so that really shows what a great job he did, what a great job the players did, amidst all the distraction, heavy underdog in the game, to be able to perform like that, against, an extremely talented Auburn team. That team, is as talented as anybody, and you saw that, in their Alabama game.
For those of you who don't know, Lane is the former coach of the Oakland Raiders. What do you make of this news with John Gruden and not only coming back to coach, but getting a percentage ownership of the team? Possibly.
Well, I thought I heard that wasn't happening, the ownership, but that is strange. Obviously, if that is happening, I was on with Stephen A. yesterday, and right before I went on, that was the subject. He was on, and he kind of went off on it. That I don't know. I guess Gruden's 2 games over 500 in his career. And to get a stake of ownership is crazy. But I think it's a great hire. Obviously, with his background with the Raiders and how well he does with quarterbacks and Carr being so talented, and Amari Cooper being there. They got some great young players on that team. So I think that's a great fit for them.
Is there a name that Lane Kiffin could possibly give us before we let you go where you were coaching on the sideline and you said to yourself, I own this guy? This coach on the other sideline, I own him. He ain't beating me. There's not, like, you may think that all the time, but specifically one name you would give us where I got this guy. This guy doesn't know what's coming next.
I think that all the time.
Okay, but you don't have one guy that you're thinking.
I did. Since you are in South Florida, I did tell our players, and I was much younger, so I probably shouldn't have said it, but I did tell our players, when we were at Tennessee, Georgia was a big rivalry, and Georgia had really beat Tennessee a lot when we'd come in there. And Mark Richt was there, and I told our players, I said, we'll never lose to Georgia ever, and Mark Richt, the games aren't going to be close. And so we played him the 1 year there and beat him, I don't know, by 20 points or I don't know what it was, blew him out. So, but then I left to make sure that was true. We did never lose to them. We want to know.
Lane, good talking to you. We'll see you Monday.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, see you.
Dan Le Batard
is saving the best.
Yes, maybe no.
Stugatz
is saving the best. Yes, maybe no.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
I don't know a lot of coaches who do what Lane Kiffin just did there.
It's pretty amazing.
I just wish sports were more like that in general. We got some great sounds to play for you. I just think sports would be so much fun if the coaches were that kind of honest instead of always disguising. If you ask them, hey, who's a coach you owned? Who the hell says what he just said, where he gives you the name, and you don't have to press very much? He says Mark Richt.
Right.
Who does that?
Mm-hmm. It's unique. I don't think we're going to see a day where everyone's acting like Lane ever.
But wouldn't it be more fun?
Oh, so
wouldn't
much
it be more fun?
Yeah. I mean, Rex Ryan tried some of that with Belichick. He did.
Mm-hmm.
Make it like wrestling. Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun. Certainly.
Let's play some of these sounds here. We've got some good sound for you. Patrick Ewing is now the coach at Georgetown, and this is courtesy of FS1. We've got 3 great sounds. Let's see if we can get to all of them here. Here's Patrick Ewing. His center, I think it was his center, took just a bad shot selection, one-footed fadeaway, and here's what Ewing lit him up with in the huddle.
Step back, one-legged. What kind of shot is that? Have you ever shot that shot? Do you work on that shot? When?
Did he say when?
When? I've never seen you. I watch you all the time. I've never seen you work on that shot.
But does that mean the kid responded yes?
In private. Do you work on that shot? Yes, at home. Now did you see the Celtics game the other day against the Rockets?
I did not, no.
Okay, at the end of the game, it was very exciting. And we're going out here to the Celtics radio broadcast. Now who are these guys? Because the Celtics guys can be real gigantic homers. Is Cedric Maxwell involved here?
This is a cornbread Maxwell joint.
He's crazy.
Oh, really?
This was a game that James Harden totally melted down at the end of the game.
Okay.
Marcus Smart got under his skin.
He's the best. Didn't you want to do something with Cedric Maxwell? Didn't you want to do something there?
Cornbread?
There you go.
So now, no timeouts. Celtics down one. They have never led. Rozier on the inbound. Bounce pass. Horford catches. 5 seconds to go. Horford bulls his way in. Forces it up and in. The Celtics have the lead. No timeouts for Houston. 3.7 to go.
Man, give me some Cheetos, somebody. I need something to eat.
This place will go berserk. Harden knocks down Smart again and turns the ball over. James Harden implodes in front of a national television audience.
Take that with your beard.
Wait a minute. That is great. Wait a minute. I need to hear that again.
That's right up there with the Miracle on Ice and Al Michaels.
That is better. It is better. Al Michaels, you must now take second place. Do you believe in miracles? United our country against the Cold War. But it was a lesser broadcast experience than this one.
Horford catches. 5 seconds to go. Horford bulls his way in. Forces it up and in. The Celtics have the lead. No timeouts for Houston. 3.7 to go.
Man, give me some Cheetos, somebody. I need something to eat.
This place will go berserk. Harden knocks down Smart again and turns the ball over. James Harden implodes in front of a national television audience.
Take that with your beard.
Take that with your beard. All right, hold on. I want to put some sounds side by side here. I want to compare Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread's orgasmic response to triumph against Terrence Newman's roller coaster riding. Terrence Newman, is he still in the league with the Vikings? He's the oldest player in the league?
I'll check it right now.
Except for Adam Vinatieri and Tom Brady. All right, that's Terrence Newman. He's a cornerback for the Vikings, and he's very scared of roller coasters. Now let's go to Cedric Maxwell, orgasmic triumph. What's the better sound? Guillermo, put it on the poll. What's the better sound? What do you got?
It's got to be Cornbread, man.
You sure?
Yes.
That's horror.
I know, but that's the sound that you would normally, I feel like you would kind of hear on a roller coaster. You would never hear this sound calling a basketball game.
It's the ball over.
That's true. That's a good point by Stugat. Cornbread Maxwell needs to be in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster just because he's changed the game so much doing it this way. I mean, he speaks for the fan base on that. Right?
Take that with your beard.
And then Cheetos. Was that a marijuana joke? Get me some Cheetos. I'm feeling high. I don't even understand what that was.
And Lebatard.
Let me be very, very clear. When it comes to commentary, talking about the game of basketball, I'm just talking about on television, the combination of content and personality and presentation. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think I'm the best in America. I really do.
Stugats.
He's the best, man. He is the best. He is great at television, great at radio, and I wish I had that kind of confidence about anything in my life other than my appetite.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Chris Sims, 1230. What number are we on now, Mike? 54? He will reveal to us his 54th best quarterback in the NFL. He'll join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Check out the Cavs and the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. 78-year-old Bill Snyder will return for his 27th season. He's coming back.
We were just talking about this yesterday, the idea of when is a coach too old. 78-year-old Snyder's been old the entire time you've been alive. He looked old as an intern when he was working. He is still going at it, 78 years old.
Yep, coming back for his 27th season as Kansas State's head football coach. Mike Tyson has broken ground on a plot for a cannabis resort in California City, a remote Mojave Desert town that's about a 110-mile drive north of Los Angeles. I have no idea if I said that right.
Now, what do you think the word is?
Mojave?
Mojave.
Mojave?
Have you never heard that? You've never heard
I've
that?
heard of it. I've just never said it.
Okay.
Mojave. That's the way you should. Mojave, actually.
You say it the way Ben McAdoo says Fajita?
Yeah.
When he goes into Taco Bell? Yes, he pronounces the J hard.
Oh, God. Tyson, how about that? That's funny.
I don't think there's been anything in my lifetime that's fallen faster and quicker than the stigma around marijuana use. Like, what the hell were we banning? Now, all of a sudden, everybody, there's going to be smoke coming out of the huddle soon.
There was ribbon-cutting ceremonies in California all across the state a couple of days ago.
You know what's amazing about that? Like, we talked about this years ago. We talked years ago about the idea of why doesn't our government just tax marijuana if we're down on money? Just go ahead and make it legal, tax it, and make a bunch of money because so many people are doing it. And just the whole stigma of that has totally shifted in the last 10 years in a way that's crazy.
No question. And finally, shares of Weight Watchers rose more than 6% on Tuesday after the company signed DJ Khaled to be, yes, I was asking there, to be a social media ambassador. Khaled says he's lost 20 pounds on the program, and he's touting it to his legions of social media followers. He'll gain it back. For all the latest...
Wow, wait a minute. Why did you do that to DJ Khaled?
He hasn't really lost the weight.
Okay.
I'm not even doing it to DJ. I've done the Weight Watchers diet, and I've lost that same amount of weight. And I thought to myself, this is going to be forever. And the second I went off it, not only did I gain the weight back that I lost, but I gained an additional 20 pounds. This Sports Center...
It's not a product problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah, probably.
I don't even understand how you're blaming that on Weight Watchers somehow. In fact, that's a fine.
I'm not blaming anything on Weight Watchers.
You're blaming something
and you still
that
owe
is
50 for killing Frank Layden.
You're blaming that you... Allison, is Layden on the phone?
She's trying.
I killed Frank Layden earlier in the show, and I just want to hear his voice.
I'm working on it. I think I found his wife, so
right,
I'm
good.
close to it.
Okay, you got an hour.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
We have two great things going on here. I can't believe that I'm going to put on pause what seems to be a beef between John Gruden and Stephen A. Smith.
Really?
I'm not sure it's a beef. We'll see if we can make it into one. But before we get to that, I want to tell you what happened with Stugotz during the break.
Come on, man.
So Stugotz and I have been talking lately, and Stugotz knows that he is being made fatigued by his perpetual saucer eyes. He wants to do everything at ESPN. He wants to be the president of ESPN. He wants to be the lead broadcaster on Monday Night Football, and he's always thinking about ways that he can get to these places, and it is a consumption in his life, the gluttony, that makes him very tired.
It does. It's draining having these big dreams.
So he just promised me as a New Year's resolution that he was going to stop doing some of that because it's a mental drain. And then he's like, during the break, he's like, you see this Andy Dalton scam? I think I could run something like this. This Andy Dalton scam where you throw an interception, you get the Bills in the playoffs, Buffalo floods your foundation with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, no, he threw the touchdown. That's a fine, by the way. He threw a touchdown that got the Bills into the postseason for the first time in 17 years, and now Bills fans are flooding his charity to the tune of $170,000. So it got me thinking, if I did something nice by a city... And then I started, maybe they'd flood my charity, which is my pocket.
Which is the name of your wife. Charity.
Charity, yes. So I need to figure out something nice to do for a city. And then ask them for charity money.
All right.
But Buffalo Bill fans did this without Andy Dalton asking. I would do it differently. I would do something nice for your city and absolutely ask for something in return.
Of course.
And expect it.
There is great healing in sort of letting go. And Stugotz is letting go.
I'm trying, man.
Stugotz, what most people might look for, like let's say maybe you're someone who can't meditate, but let's say you look for the joys of silencing the mind through meditation. This is the best Stugotz is going to do with this particular New Year's resolution. I will slightly cut down on the scams I'm thinking about. That's meditation for Stugotz.
Progress.
I will try. It's progress. The number of scams bouncing around in my head, I will remove one of them a day, and there will simply be hundreds in there, and that will pass for meditation.
That will just be me and you.
It will clean my mind. So let's get to the Stephen A. John Gruden beef. Allegedly. I don't know anything about it. Can you, Mike, what context do I need here? You just told me I think Stephen A. Smith and John Gruden are beefing, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well, John Gruden called Stephen A. out by name. Maybe not his correct name, but he called him out by name.
He did what?
Yeah. Well, you'll see in the sound.
Whoa.
But then Stephen A. sort of did a non sequitur while they were talking about Marvin Lewis, and he went on this sort of tangent about haters, and it was an apparent Stephen A. clapback to John Gruden, if you read all the tea leaves.
What percentage of conviction do you have that this is indeed a Stephen A. Smith clapback on John Gruden? This is the height of our network. These are the top personalities, the big money makers, and I want to ask Stephen A. Smith. Let's get him on the show this week just to ask him if he believes he should be the highest paid employee in the company, because it's been Gruden. And I'm thinking Stephen A. sees that and says it shouldn't be. And I think I'm with Stephen A. on this one.
I'm about 70% sure, give or take a percentage.
Okay. Let's see what we've got.
Well, you need to hear the John Gruden sound.
All right.
There's no truth to that at all. I heard Stephen Smith screaming at me on TV yesterday on one of his shows.
Well, he does that to everybody, just so you know.
That's one of the most, there's no validity to that at all. None, zero. So that's a nice segment that I saw, but no ownership, that's for sure.
Golick and Wingo stirring the pot there a little bit.
These controversial muckrakers, it's why you can't trust them in the morning. They're always causing problems in the company. That show, this Wingo, he's just a poison. Look at him, starting infighting. What did John Gruden do? Steve Smith, he called him?
Stephen Smith.
Stephen Smith screaming about, okay. So that is John Gruden. And is this indeed, was this on Stephen A. Smith's radio show begins?
This was on First Take. He does have a radio show. Don't worry, he will tell you about it in this clip. Okay. Total non sequitur when they're talking about Marvin Lewis.
Wait a minute.
We think this is a Stephen A. Smith clapback.
Well, I just want to sort of, what do you think's going to happen here? Because I don't know what this is, but I'm very excited about the possibility. Like, what do you think Stephen A. Smith is going to say in response to John Gruden?
Oh, I think Stephen A. is, first off, at a core level, basic level, Stephen A. is mad that he got the name wrong. Stephen Smith. That's disrespectful. And then I'm with you. I think Stephen A. Smith fancies himself as more important to ESPN than John Gruden is. So, I mean, this could go anywhere.
I don't think, hey, Johnny Gruden, I don't think you'd like it very much if we didn't refer to you by your actual name. Not as little as you'd like if we confused you with your confused brother Jay, but I don't think you'd like it very much if I called you Jay Gruden, or Joe Gruden. So let's hear what it is that Stephen A. Smith has to say.
Here's the deal. People want to talk about the Screaming A, and they want to act like, well, you know what, the Screaming. That's why I got the television show, and that's why I'm doing this and that. I was a beat writer, and I was a journalist for over 18 years as a beat writer. And I'm sorry to break it down. I'll say it on national television. I was one of the best. You know, I didn't get here. I didn't sneak up on anybody. I pounded the pavement and got here. No. I liked it. But see, I have the platform, because I think that's the problem. It's just like some people that sit there and say, take the high road. Well, I take the high road a lot, but make no mistake about it. I enjoy cussing people out sometimes. I enjoy going off sometimes.
I prefer Screaming A. Smith to Seething A. Smith.
So
this is Seething A. Smith.
What I'm doing right now is showing my range, because I'm watching and I'm seeing people talk, and people without my resume talking. I'm getting a little bit tired of it. I got First Take, and they put me on radio nationwide in over 250 markets. Y'all keep trying me. I'm getting mellow. I'm getting mellow to build up the energy. Keep messing with me. I'm not. Listen, I take the high road when I choose to. Okay. I don't always choose to. Let them keep messing with me.
Well, who's he talking about? I'm not clear that that's Gruden, because Gruden does have Stephen A.'s resume.
No, he only has a Super Bowl win. Yeah. One.
Yeah, with Tony Dungy's players.
Wait a minute. Put it on the poll.
What?
Does Gruden have Stephen A. Smith's resume? Come on, man. If we're comparing resumes, those are comparable resumes in their fields.
Well, media resumes, I think, is what Stephen A. is talking about.
In their field, Stephen A. Smith is the greatest head coach ever.
Okay, no, but wait a minute. But is that what we're talking about here? Like, is he looking at John Gruden's broadcasting resume and saying, you're not me?
John Gruden is not the Stephen A. Smith of head coaches.
And let's be clear, what they were supposed to be talking about was Marvin Lewis.
hold on a second. So you guys are saying that the core of this is that Stephen A. Smith thinks he is better and knows he's better at what he does than John Gruden is at what they do? Is that what's happening here? I'm not hearing that the same way you guys are.
I think Stephen A. is reporting or is talking about reports about an ownership stake in the Raiders, and John Gruden is saying Stephen Smith is wrong, and that's ridiculous. And Stephen A. is saying, hey, I'm a journalist, man. I've been doing this for a long time. When I say something, it's because I got it. Like, I have the information. I got it. And he's showing off his credentials. That's what he's doing right now.
And it was bothering him throughout that Marvin Lewis segment that he obviously didn't care about because something was weighing on him.
I mean, let's be honest here. If you had to choose one of the two to try the O.J. Simpson trial, would it be Stephen A. Smith or John Gruden? Winner.
What did you just win?
I proved my point.
What was your
Stephen
point?
A. is the greatest of all time.
Of jurisprudence? Of
everything.
You're the greatest lawyer of all time? The greatest, I don't even understand what you're talking about.
He's the greatest talker. He backs up his talk with facts. He is a journalist. He's an attorney, and he would have won that O.J. trial.
I'd have won that trial. I've often said that.
I mean, there's your proof.
Don Le Batard.
Mike, how'd you feel that went? Was that okay for you?
No, what do you think about it? Huh? What do you think? Since you think you're being smart a little bit about it, what do you think I went?
No, not being smart. I would not do that to Mike Tyson. I'm not being smart. No, sir. I say it in the most respectful way possible.
Well, you're the interviewer, so you tell me how it went, buddy.
Stugats.
I'm sorry if I've upset you, Mike. Thank you for being on with us.
No, you didn't upset me, because if you upset me, you would have known about it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. There's 5 guests on the guest line. I don't know which one we're going to, but someone's going to join us here in just a second.
No, it's weird. Lane Kiffin wants to come on. Frank Layden's there. Everybody. Lane Kiffin doesn't agree with something that I said, or he wants to explain why coaches are depressed. And also, Chris Sims is there to give us our 55th ranked quarterback in the NFL. So we got a lot going on.
All right, and you can check out the Cavs and the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Joe Madden. I mean, seriously, because here's the deal with Joe Madden. Like, what is he doing with the hair? Does he not think, like, we've all been watching him in the postseason for the last 10 years, Joe Madden. Like, does he not think we know that he has silver hair? And now all of a sudden it's black? And here's the other thing about Madden. All right? And this is why I don't like him.
Will you?
No. Here's it. I'm reporting exclusively, Joe Madden does not need glasses. He doesn't need them. He's got 20/20. He only wears them because it makes him appear to be smarter than everyone else in baseball.
Reckless speculation. It's reckless speculation.
Well, that is SportsCenter. It's brought to you by Wendy's. The 4-for-4 deal at Wendy's gives you a sandwich plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and a drink for just $4. And now the 4-for-4 has more variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices. So try them all and pick your favorite at participating locations for a limited time. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Hey, Eagle Eyes. Seriously.
Eagle Eyes Madden.
2020.
Right, hold on a second. Let's slow everything down here because we've got guests lined up here. It's like a traffic jam. So let's begin with Chris Sims. Chris Sims, as you know, says Blake Bortles is the 70th best quarterback in the NFL. He is compiling a list, and every day he comes on and tells us where the guy is at 60, 59, 58, 57. So where we left off is number 60 was Landry Jones, number 59 was Paxton Lynch, number 58 was Matt Castle, Ryan Mallett, 57, Deshaun Kaiser, 56, Brock Osweiler, 55. And so, Chris Sims, thank you as always for this 70-day contract you have signed with us. The 54th best quarterback in the NFL is
Tom Savage, Houston Texans.
Wow. Are you sure? Oh, I don't want to argue with you. Okay, Chris.
It's his list.
It is. All right.
It's my list. I got a 70-day contract. You got to deal with it. Sorry.
Wait, so you're telling me if Savage is the quarterback of the Jaguars, that the Jaguars arrive at the same spot that they're at now? Is that what you're saying?
Better is what he's saying.
Yes. I do. Yes, I have a hard time watching that game last weekend, the 49ers game the week before, and I think Tom Savage could have done a little better than 15 for 34 with 2 interceptions.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I know.
Excellent work. Bleacher Report, Chris Sims, check him out. He's a friend of the show. Thank you, sir. And
be good, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Oh, no, we lost Frank.
No, this is what got us in this mess to begin with. That's what I said. We lost Frank.
Just on the line.
Oh, okay. All right, everybody slow down.
What happened?
Well, Lane Kiffin's flaky, so he comes in and out, and he wants to come in on the show, but we can sometimes misplace Lane Kiffin, and it's annoying. Right. And Frank Layden has called in. If you're just joining us, it's very alarming when you say to me, Mike, we lost Frank. We've got a curse around this show. I don't like that we've been talking all show about me accidentally killing Frank Layden, and now you just had him on the line and then said to me, we've lost Frank. And I don't want to kill Frank Layden again. I've already done that enough today.
5 times.
Man, I regret going on Chris Sims. Time is so precious.
So he's there.
And fleeting.
Wait a minute. What happened? Is he there?
Now it's going to voicemail. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, for the love of God.
Well, where's Lane?
I don't know where Lane is.
All right. If you're just joining us, everything needs to slow down. Frank Layden was just on the line. He called evidently from the beyond. We had a very small window with Frank Layden in this seance that we've conducted to bring him back from the beyond. And in that window, we chose to get Chris Sims' 54th ranked quarterback in the NFL instead of talking to Frank Layden from the beyond. Mm-hmm. It seems like a horrible lapse in news judgment.
Seems like a decision I made. Should we rank quarterbacks and talk to someone from beyond?
Right, correct, right. Guillermo, put that on the poll, please. Should the show get Chris Sims' 54th ranked quarterback before it takes a call from Frank Layden from the beyond?
I mean, that was the get.
Where did he go? What happened? Allison, we were talking about Tom Savage. Listen to me. This is a breach, and ESPN should fire us over this. We were talking about whether Tom Savage is better than Blake Bortles. No, Allison, come to the microphone.
Stay right here.
What happened?
I don't know, because Billy answered the phone, and he talked to him, so I didn't talk to him. What? Why are you looking at me like you don't know what just happened?
Where is Frank Layden?
He was there. I told him, hold on a second, we're coming back from break. And he said, okay. And then he said, ESPN's lost their minds. And then I put him on hold, and then you never took him.
Okay. Well, and now is he mad because we didn't go to him?
Not answering the phone. Oh, good job, everyone in this room.
How long was he waiting for?
He was waiting a while.
He's in purgatory, waiting to make a phone call that will liberate him so that he can get to... Hey. Frank! Who is that?
It's Adnan. What do you guys need?
No! I don't want to talk to him! Enough! No!
Yeah, I know you want to talk to me. What do you need? Whatever you need, guys. What's up?
Get him out of here!
Get out of here.
I'm always here. Shape of water. Let's discuss.
I'm not drowning. I have plenty of content.
Or do you need me? We both need each other, okay? Let's be honest. Let's help each other out.
Get the hell out of here now.
All right. I'm very frustrated by this.
Where's Frank?
That's a reasonable question.
I'm going to go in there and call Frank.
Didn't Chuck Pagano see Frank the other day? The late Chuck Pagano? The late Chuck Pagano's career is what I should have said.
Oh, wait, the phone's ringing.
Is it?
I saw it ring.
It's so strange that from the beyond they would use traditional worldly means to get in contact with us. Using the guest line doesn't strike me as the way a spirit would usually arrive here.
Hi, Frank. It's good to see you, buddy.
See, I knew that they had contact.
Man, that's so bad on us. I'm not even certain. You and I should not be blaming anyone here. Because Frank was on the phone and Sims was on the phone, and Sims has a contract with us. He's going to come on whenever we want. Frank, we had Frank.
That one's my fault.
Frank and Mac. Frank and Mac attack. You guys like it? I like it. I just made it up. Frank and Mac. Not cheese and Mac. We're going Frank and Mac.
Doggone it. I'm really frustrated.
What is Lane's deal? Because he asked to come on.
Well, this is another thing. Like, listen to what's happened to this segment here. Lane's wandering around the show, making phone calls, wanting to come on, talking about why coaches are so depressed. And now we've misplaced Lane, too. This segment is sinking into the muck.
Want me to rip Madden some more?
Well, filibuster, yes, go ahead. I need it right now. I didn't need it before when we were talking about whatever we were talking about. But yes, now I need 30 seconds to gather myself.
I mean, this guy gets to be the genius forever. Again, just so if you're just joining us, I am reporting that Joe Madden does not need glasses. I'm reporting that he has 20/20 vision. But this guy, forever, because he had the Tampa Bay Rays with a low payroll and did great work with them, and then won a World Series that really Theo Epstein deserves all the credit for. This guy forever will go down as one of the great managers of all time. And I'm here to tell you, he doesn't deserve it. He's not very good.
Oh,
he's not. Dan, what makes him so much better at managing a baseball team than anyone else?
Pretty smart.
He has better players. That's what he has. And why? Because he has a better general manager. And Theo Epstein deserves all that credit. And Joe Madden, you don't deserve any of it. And yet you walk around with that smug look on your face, and you got all these costumes to do all these things like you're smarter than Don Mattingly or Joe Girardi. Get out of here. You're not even close to it. Seriously, any manager in baseball could have managed the Cubs to a World Series. I'm done.
I'm still here, guys.
I don't want to talk to you.
Get out.
Get out of here. Lane Kiffin joins us now on ESPN Radio.
Where's Frank?
We're waiting for Frank. I think we killed him again. Lane Kiffin with us. What were you objecting to before that I was saying that were you objecting to something about why coaches are so depressed all the time?
No, I wasn't objecting at all. It was just you guys were spending like 30 minutes. I was like on the radio here driving around town. I'm like, you don't understand. Like they're all trained. Remember that they're supposed to be miserable. You know, who are the best two coaches, Belichick and Saban? Well, I have to act miserable. I have to act like I sleep at the office 24 hours a day and I have no life, because then that means I'm a good coach. Because as soon as you have a personality, as soon as, you know, like you guys talking about Rex Ryan, as soon as you act like that and you lose, and you're not focused, you're not serious enough. So that's why all these coaches are trained to do that.
Man, it's frustrating to me, Lane, though, because I feel like so many of your brethren are always asking their players to be tough and disciplined and everything else, and so many of them play and act scared that way. Like, it doesn't seem very strong from the coaching profession that you're teaching others, and yet you're doing it the way all the other people are doing it, and you're not showing us your real personality because you're hiding.
No, well, and a lot of times players play, you know, that way. Now, if they're so prepared and you got such great players, it doesn't matter. But sometimes when you're like that, then your teams play tight and they play stiff because they're scared to make mistakes. You guys talk about you're mad at Joe Madden because he has fake glasses, but think about how his players play. Yeah, I know, Joe. Those are total fake glasses.
Thank you.
But that doesn't matter.
Thank you.
He suffers for fashion. But look how his teams play. They play loose. They play great, and they play themselves instead of being uptight all the time. You know, I mean, that's why Joe's a miracle.
Yeah, he is. I think that's perfect. I love that segment ends with Lane Kiffin telling us that Joe Madden is a miracle and confirming that he does indeed wear fake glasses. Lane, I'll see you Monday. We'll see you Monday.
Yep.
All right, I'm going back to fishing. See you guys.
All right. That guy is
doing
consuming
it right,
Boca by injection. Like, that guy is IVing Boca Raton. What is Frank Layden calling in?
Just heard Allison say
is Frank Layden in?
Hold on.
This is
He's
amazing.
on hold. Just take him.
Let's take him.
Frank!
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Layden, prove to us that you're alive. Frank Layden!
I don't know if I am, but I'm here.
Yeah! Frank, I want to publicly apologize to you for killing you earlier in the show because I thought you were dead because I confused you with Rick Majerus.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Rick Majerus, of course, was one of my dearest friends, and I'd known him forever, and it was unfortunate.
It was.
That he passed away when he did. He was a great coach and a very generous man.
Frank, and
but
so
I'm still here.
Yeah! Yes, Frank, thank you.
What can I say?
Thank you for still being here. Thank you.
See you Monday, Frank? We're doing a national championship game. You want to join us?
See you Monday.
Want to come to the party?
What party?
Monday. Big party. Big party. Megacast. We're going to be all over ESPN. Do you want to come?
No.
Okay, very good.
Don Le Batard.
Good work today. That was a fun show.
Stugats.
It was also intergalactically stupid.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
It's been a fun show today, man. The bogus national championship of college football will be played Monday and televised extensively by this company, even though it's not for the real national championship that was won this weekend when UCF defeated Auburn, the team that beat both of the two teams that are playing in the third place game. This is the runner-up game in soccer. What you're witnessing Monday is when
the consolation game.
Yes, it's the can you win the bronze medal? Alabama and Georgia are going for second place. That's what they're going for. Can you win? Are you going to be silver or bronze? And I don't want to celebrate it. So are we going to be able to figure out when we do this megacast on Monday for our listeners and they televise it? Mike, are we going to be able to make fun throughout of this bogus national championship game that this entire network is championing?
Well, it is a megacast because several people are doing it. We're just a part of a large cast that's going to be jumping from crew to crew. But
I want to sort of boycott. What I'd like to do with that evening, if we're going to do it, is I would simply like to boycott that is anything other than counterfeit championship game, that it's really made for television by ESPN.
Well,
the championship is over. The best team in the country was the only one that finished undefeated.
So you're going to be hate watching because there's only one rule that I've really been told about this whole megacast. The sound of the game has to sort of be playing underneath us the entire time. So we can't get away with, watching the UCF game over again.
Man. Oh, really? You can't do that?
I'd prefer to do that. That was a great championship game, UCF against Auburn.
Maybe we can put it on another TV.
Yeah. Right. Why can't we have it on another screen with no sound, though?
You'd be really confusing the people that are watching to watch people watch the game that's happening at that time.
All right, so
so I can't change the channel? I want to check in on the first half under of the Nuggets game. I can't do that?
I don't know.
We have other TVs, but here's the good news, because I think there's several people that are going to be doing this megacast along with us in several different cities. I do believe there's an ESPN3 dedicated channel to stay with us the entire time. For the superfans out there.
All right, so we'll figure out how to tell you where to get what over the course of the coming days. But I do want to do nothing other than make fun of that game while on ESPN, making fun of that game. Because this whole contrivance, the whole thing, it's not to decide the best team. It's just sort of to decide at the end which team you thought was good before the season and then had that confirmed or most confirmed.
Right. I mean, you have Lane Kiffin, who's been great with us over the last month or so, and appears to be very honest when he's on the show. I mean, he's sitting here telling you that Alabama is by far the best team in the country every single week they go on the field.
They've got all of the best players.
I don't want to get into a heated sports debate here and give takes, but UCF, very good. And at the end of the season, they deserve a chance to play for the title, and they didn't get that chance. There should be more spots, though, because I wouldn't take any of those top four. I watched those games on New Year's, and I was like, okay, they got the right four.
Okay.
Same.
Okay, that's all well and fine. But
then the problem is they didn't beat Auburn until their bowl game. You got to play Auburn at the beginning of the season, go beat them, and then you start gaining momentum.
By the rules forced upon that team.
Right.
By the way we do the measurements in the playoffs. The single best resume in front of you today from any team, if you never considered who the coach was, what the uniform was, the single best resume belongs to UCF, and it cannot be argued. You cannot argue that what we're comparing is not what we think, but resumes, UCF's resume is better in every ways today of every team in the country, better than anybody else. If I gave that resume to Alabama, you would be telling me that's the best team in the country. They should be number one.
And I'm forgetting that Alabama just destroyed the number one team in the nation.
That's right.
I mean, Georgia's pretty good, man.
I understand that those teams are good, but they both...
I mean, that resume is pretty good.
No, but both those teams lost to the team UCF just beat.
Right, but then Georgia beat them again because they got a second chance.
Yeah,
I understand.
And then Alabama beat a team that beat Auburn, so that erases the loss.
Look, this is all I've got to say about this, and I will be done on this subject until we celebrate the championship with UCF, the rightful kings of college football. You have a system right now that clearly has one team that deserves to be in retrospect in UCF, and now one team that in Alabama doesn't deserve to be there because they were going to be left out at the end and they didn't play in that championship game. And while they might be the best team in the country, we all think that, they don't deserve to be in this Final Four. And they only got, they didn't even play an SEC championship game. They didn't have to win the game that UCF just won.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep. Totally fair.
So that's where you are with the college football system. Like, that's not the right way to crown a champion. That's not meritocracy. That's not.
Agreed, but it's the best way that we've had.
That's a BS.
Well, it's better than a bunch of writers just,
ESPN should be ashamed of itself for sponsoring this nonsense.
Better than the polls, though.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you had a bunch of Greg Cody's just writing in a team that just because they were undefeated later than someone else.
Speaking of polls, why don't you update a handful of them from today at Levitar Show on Twitter?
Is a 2 and a 1 at the same time a 3? Guys, I can't believe this.
No.
I mean, we are approaching 7,000 votes. This has never happened before.
No. What?
Is a 2 and a 1 at the same time a 3? 50-50.
Same number? No.
50-50.
That's the first time I can ever remember.
Pretty amazing. Which comes out first, a 2 or a 1?
Oh, for the love of God. What were you doing before I got here
62% of the audience said 1. We were talking about 1s and 2s.
You were talking about going to the bathroom?
Will you ever sit on a 1? I can't believe.
Oh, you got to be
kidding. I cannot believe this.
What?
50-50?
No.
Yeah.
That's the first time I can ever remember that happening.
It's amazing. Is it impossible to 2 without 1?
This is what you were doing.
61% of the audience said yes.
How long and how many polls did...
Does the day officially start with a 2? 58% of the audience said no.